Now, we've spoken a lot about your stories, WWE. We talked obviously the NEW. That's kind of got us off on that whole tangent, if you will.
Well, but I talk about NEW because a lot of people think that there's heat between certain people, this and that. I remember something about the Guardian of Chaos. I fucking create heat. I don't give a fuck about heat, but I also don't like to have heat. And if you got fucking heat with me, no matter who you are, from the biggest star to the lowest star to promoter to worker, step to me. We'll talk about it like men, and we're all good, bro. We're all fucking human beings. We're all men. I have heat with no one, and I like to keep it that way. And again, I invite people to seek me out if you have a problem with the Guardian of Chaos, because I'm sure we could work something out.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you know what he said. But we've talked about the WWE, the NEW stuff. A couple. We've talked some of the local talent, the higher up talent, not the higher up, the larger platform talent, if you will. I want to talk about PPW specifically now because you've been a big personality, a big personality in PAPW, Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling out of East Haven. I've spoken about that specific promotion, Mr. Mancini, and everybody that goes with it on this show many a time, believe me. Now, I would like, because you are a mouthpiece, if nothing, my friends. You do not do one. If there's one thing that Big Daddy does, is he elevates. He can elevate you in a second. You don't even have to fucking know you. Just give him your weight and where you're from. My boy will fucking put you over in any promotion, in any town, in any venue. But my point being is, talk to us, the fans, about some of the talent that is coming up right now in PAPW. Not only that has been there for a little bit, because I know you're going to mention some of them, but you guys have got some homebred students that are coming up. Give us some names and maybe a little bit of something on them, if you could, please.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Paradise Alley again. While we're on here, Don, I will talk about anything. I'm well versed in my craft and my tactics. I could talk WWE, AEW, Northeast, Chaotic, House of Glory. It doesn't matter. But my product and where I hang out and where I hang my hat at is with my brothers, and that's at Paradise Alley. And what they are different about, and I say this all the time, is they have four guys that worked under the guidance of Vincent Kennedy McMahon from 84 to 93. Okay, Mario was there as the youngest wrestler in the World Wrestling Federation at that time at 18 years, 6 months prior to the explosion of WrestleMania 1, the biggest time in this business until maybe the Attitude Era, and it's what set this business on its way. Paul Roma was the legit badass and superstar in the WWE and WCW. Paul Perez, second generation grappler, also worked for Vince, as did Big Steve Tracy under Big Dave Paradise. So that's what you get. Listen, you'll go to Team 3D Academy, all props, respect to legends. You'll go to other schools, Amazing Red. You got Brian Fury, Chaotic. You got Bobby Ocean, Slick Wagner, Test of Strength, Kevin Landry, Shut Up and Wrestle. All great guys, all qualified, all unbelievable guys. But they don't have what Paradise Alley has. Anyone that has risen to the prominence of Paul Roma and worked with the legends that he did, and guys that were trained and taught by the legends of the likes of Chief Jay Strongbow and all the guys I can list on down the road to Arnold Skolin and so on and so forth, and learned the business when Vince was more accessible and the guys were more accessible. And they learned from the Hall of Famers, Gorilla Monsoon, Pat Patterson, you put guys like that. That's who these guys learned from. And then their own stories of traveling and being in the company and what they learned on their own. That's what makes Paradise Alley not better, different.
And back then, that's when Vince was a fan, because it doesn't seem like he's been a fan for a very long time. That was when he was really, like you said, he was so involved in everybody's performance, their character, what was going on in the ring. I mean, it was a different time, and I know that. So that's definitely much different. Again, the big difference from Paradise Alley than other places. Got to give you that, facts are facts.
Facts are facts. And this is what I think about the roster, Donnie. I know I cut you off for a second.
No. That's where we're going.
First off, Paradise Alley started off as a wrestling facility, not to be a promotion, not to be a group, not to be an organization, to be a training facility from legends and guys, top athletes, and especially Paul Roma. The first student was Richard Holiday. We're 5 and 6 years later. You see Richard Holiday's in MLW and traveled all over the world, and is now the current Caribbean champion or Caribbean champion, however you say it, for MLW, and working with some of the biggest stars and the guys that he runs with, whether it be Hammerstone, who's huge in Japan, huge in MLW, and let's not forget MJF, who's probably the biggest and hottest star in the business, and especially AEW. Now that's who Holiday ran with. That's who Holiday is known to be with the Dynasty. It's only a matter of time before they all band together and are in AEW. That's why I'm saying this, because that was the very first student and the first byproduct of Roma trained, Mancini brained, and that's what I say at all times. Richard Holiday. Let's look at the steady influences in the locker room. We talk about Paradise Alley talent. Obviously, Holiday has set the bar. You got to go a long way to catch that man because he's continuing to rise. But that's what they produced, and that's pretty unbelievable. The House of Pain, Showtime Marcel Williams, Matthias DiNapoli, that group of wrestlers right there, Nick Payne, Hakim Ali, Matthias DiNapoli, and again Showtime, four of the most brilliant minds and respectful and good guys that I know right now in the current state of affairs, and probably could have survived back in the 80s and 90s. Respectful guys who know the business, who are leaders in the locker room. They're leaders when they talk about psychology and ring performance and throwing the show together. And the reason I also say that, not only from their interaction with me and what I see, and I learn and listen a lot, because for as much as the Guardian of Chaos is a talker and a mouthpiece, I don't shut up. At the shows, I don't say anything because I study, I observe, I'm a scout. I shut up and listen, and I watch with my eyes. And that's what I do. And that's what I have also saw from Roma, Mancini, Big Steve, and Perez. They trusted Showtime. They trusted the House of Pain. They trusted Matthias. They obviously trust Richard Holiday. That's why the core and the base is what it is. And then you throw in the constant successful people that run the business behind it, whether it be Paul Perez with all the sounds, whether it be the ring crew, which is all the workers are unbelievable, the Paradise Alley Zebras of Justice, whether it be Gina, who I love, and her interview with you peeled back the orange peel with her because she's an excellent person, and her interview was great because I didn't know Gina that well. I didn't know her personality. That's why I watched, and I learned a lot about her. She's a great person. Between her and Bill Thompson and Jay Mendez and El Ref with the largest guns, his interview was great too, as was Bill Thompson's. You have that core of people that do the work, and that the Paradise Alley family, and it's very, very impressive. And when I see Roma and Mancini entrust the business and the company when they're not around, or to handle certain things, and they hand off the tasks, as you will, to the chain of command of Paradise Alley, that's respect, and that's what I like the respect about the gentleman that I just mentioned in the Zebras of Justice and Richard Holiday and talent levels. And those guys are on the upper echelon. And also throw a gentleman in there who's a very controversial figure, but a very smart guy, a very dangerous guy who's worked for the company, who's done a good job. And I've even seen him in the gorilla position before. And that's my good friend, Big Jim Anderson, the Prophecy, who has also taken on at times, and also the Red Lion, Chris Battle, and some other athletes, the United States champion Buzz Bloodsaw. They have taken on roles to be assistant trainers and help out at the school and help out with the students. So that all those names I just mentioned are guys that I see the brass put trust into, and that makes me respect them because they're being entrusted from four guys that worked for Vince McMahon. And also, let's not forget and throw in the director of operations, Sergeant Murray, who came in under tough circumstances, being put on the shelf and had to put his career on hold to become the director of operations, and did a good job, or be the flamboyant Kenny Roberts, who also was on the shelf and got hurt, but now was unbelievable, whether you notice him or not, as a cameraman, unbelievable, and still maybe get behind the mic someday. It's unbelievable what the different people in the family and what Paradise Alley does, and if you don't have that, you won't have an organization. And then we'll get on to the talent that you want to talk about. But I just wanted to throw that out of the integral parts of the higher ups and the pieces of Paradise Alley, and who's responsible, who they entrust certain things, before we get on to the young sensations.